So without further ado, please put your hands together for Valeria and Tiffany from Goodwill.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you. We are thrilled to be here today. We are representing Goodwill, and we have a very cool session. We're going to be talking about how tech meets play and how we've implemented gamification for Goodwill. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Valeria Ocana. I am the Senior Manager of Learning Technology and Innovation. I work for Goodwill Industries International. I'm on my third year. I work directly under the Department of Digital and Technology Services. So we are constantly looking at different innovative solutions, different technologies that impact and contribute to our network.
Hi, everyone. I am Tiffany Vietinghoff. I'm a learning experience designer and work with Valeria on the technology side with GII. I'm very excited to be here with you all as we get started with everything today. All right. So with that, we are going to take a moment and dive into just a quick overview over what we plan on accomplishing today. Today, we hope to show you some of the challenges that we have faced when it comes to our gamification and some of our cybersecurity, of which we have piloted. We'll talk a little bit about gamification and also how we went about implementing it within our organization and give you the opportunity to see the results and obviously some key takeaways as well. But before we dive further into any of those things, we always love taking the opportunity to explain to you what Goodwill is and how we actually go about our mission and all of those things. So for that, I'm going to turn it over to Valeria to give us more of an insight here.
Thank you. We are always honored and really thrilled to share a little bit more about the mission of Goodwill. I know that when we think of Goodwill, we automatically think of the thrift stores. We are mostly recognized by the thrift stores. And while I love that, since we love our thrift stores, we are here to shine a light on the broader mission behind Goodwill. I have to start by saying that Goodwill is a nonprofit organization. It is made up of 154 community-based organizations. These are spread across the United States. Our mission, however, is the same for all of our different community-based organizations, and that is to provide individuals in need with career training opportunities, job placement opportunities, and access to vital support services across the different communities that we serve. So to give you an idea of the impact that we have or that Goodwill has in our communities, every day, I would say around 350 people get a job with the help of Goodwill. That is amazing, being that in 2023 alone, around 1.7 million people turned to Goodwill for employment and support services. That same year, we had around 140,000 jobs created for individuals that reached out to Goodwill for support. So that is major. That really showcases the profound impact that we have in the communities that we serve. And while the different communities serve different needs, the services might change a little bit from community to community, from Goodwill to Goodwill. The unified goal remains the same. That is to empower individuals to improve their lives. We really work in creating meaningful jobs, a job that really gives the opportunity to the individual to create a fulfilling career that allows them and their families to have economical stability. So at Goodwill, we believe in the potential of every person and the power of community, and we just appreciate you being here and listening a little bit more about how Goodwill contributes to our communities and creates opportunities for all. Having said that, I really like sharing what we call the mission moments. We're going to be sharing a video. It is a short video that is really worth watching. We're showcasing the story of Jordan. Jordan reached out to Goodwill Easter Sales of Minnesota to be a part of their auto tech program. He, like many of us, had some struggles and challenges as he was going throughout his life, and he really changed his path when he accessed the Goodwill services. So please join me in watching this wonderful video.
I was born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota. I have 5 siblings, two parents. Only one parent was working. We had to move from house to house. It's tough not having anything stable. It was hard trying to put food on the table, pay bills. It's depressing, you know. You see all your friends having clothes or phones, and you can't have those things if you don't have the money. So as soon as I turned 16, I went to go get a job because I wanted some of those things that my friends had. That became my priority. School became a secondhand thought. The first job I had at 16, I was a cashier, moved my way up slowly. By senior year, I was working 40 hours a week. My mom wanted me to stay in school really bad, but I felt like I was a self-made man at the time. It makes you get a little bit big-headed. So when the senior year came around, I just didn't have the drive to finish it. I was still living with my parents, but when I turned 18, we was forced to move. We had too many people to live in one house, so I decided to go live with a friend at the time. Couch surfing was never a good thing to do, you know. You have to pay bills there still. You have to find your own food because you don't want to feel like a burden to whoever you're living with. I actually had a tote. My tote came everywhere with me, you know, my clothes, my essentials, everything I had was in the tote. That was one of the things that was kind of depressing too, you know, you don't have a place to put your things. You feel like you're just living with the backpack, basically. When all my classmates graduated and I'd seen everybody walk across the stage and get their name called, it was an accolade I just didn't have, and I realized maybe I'm not as accomplished as I thought I was. Going through the different retail jobs, from gas stations to supermarkets to a dishwasher. At that point, I was starting to feel a little lost on where I should go in life. My brother and my mom used to always tell me about the Goodwill trades program that they have. So I was like, why not give Goodwill a try? I have nothing else to lose.
I think what sets Goodwill Easter Seals apart from many other training programs is offering a robust curriculum in a short amount of time to allow them to do something now and get working. Post-secondary, that's a fantastic route for some folks, but others, it's too long. Jordan had a lot on his plate when he came to us.
Goodwill helped me with a lot of the resources because I didn't have a lot of income at the time. It helped me set up for EBT. They helped me set up for gas cards or transportation, anything that I needed. They gave me a free laptop so I could do homework at home. My first thought actually was to get into the auto program because I worked on cars in high school, so I thought that was the thing that I wanted to do. I thought it would just be maybe moving a couple tires, you know, sitting in the classroom for a lot of the day and maybe come to just see some of the parts. Upon entering the program, I learned that it's a lot more than that.
Our students are oftentimes coming in here and they're really excited and motivated, but they're nervous. In all reality, the automotive industry is sometimes a difficult space for our students to see themselves. Not a lot of people of color and women, and it is moving in that direction, but that's the reality that we've been facing.
Each of you have your own headsets.
Virtual reality has allowed us to give them a safe space to learn something. No, it doesn't take the place of actually wrenching on a vehicle, but it does allow them to know the steps of something so that they can focus on other details as they're actually learning how to do that.
VR is giving you a chance to work on these cars without the fear of working on these cars, you know. The first time you put the VR headset on, you feel like you're in a new place, a new world. It's a really good experience to have.
Digital literacy is huge in everything we do. We've had to change all of our programming to really focus on that to ensure people have the digital skills that are needed, and that is changing continually.
Twist the filter with your hand to remove it.
In today's world, there's such a large gap of open jobs that big business is looking for opportunities where they can capture individuals and build rapid training programs for them. So VR takes another opportunity to train individuals in a more efficient way.
Digital inspections right now, a lot of places are just moving to those. So the fact that they're learning alongside industry partners that are just introducing this really makes them feel like, okay, I'm learning what I need to get out there. I can be confident that I'm going to have what I need to move into that role. They might have training that even staff currently there don't have.
We hire quite a number of folks that have graduated and participated in the Goodwill Easter Seals, and when somebody like Jordan comes to us with some of those foundational skills, it's very beneficial.
The Goodwill programs helped me with Firestone because I wasn't afraid to mess up or to get my hands dirty with certain things. It gave me the confidence to walk into the shop and not worried about lifting cars, not worried about doing tires or doing oil changes because I've did it before.
Jordan learns from Goodwill Industries Seals the fundamentals of an auto service technician. But then when he shows up in one of our locations, the responsibility is on Jordan to take that education process and continue to develop his skills every day.
I want to be a master tech. I'm currently going to St. Paul College to get all the rest of the certifications I need and to get more training so I can hit the industry as a master tech. Just thinking about 3 years ago, it was night and day. I started off with homeless, no car, no real job or real future career that I can rely on, to now have my own place, a lot more stable, paying all my bills. I have a kid on the way now, and because of the skills I learned at Goodwill, I can take care of him now and give him the opportunities that I didn't have, give him the love and support and everything he needs to get through life.
Thank you for watching this video. Jordan's story is amazing. This is just one of many stories that Goodwill has an impact on. So without further ado, I'll let Tiffany introduce one of the other important initiatives of Goodwill.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So one of the things that you may have seen is we have looked at many different ways of innovative training when it comes to Goodwill and the different needs that we need to be able to reach all of the people and clients that we currently serve. Some of the things that we have noticed, as many of you have probably noticed as well, is a need for enhanced cybersecurity training. We've noticed some challenges within cybersecurity training within GII. We are a fully remote team, so it is important for all of us to make sure that we are doing everything securely, but also making sure that we are modeling that for the network and being able to provide resources for our Goodwill network and all of the participants that they help support as well. Now, some common issues with traditional training, as many of you know, is looking at that engagement and retention. Right? We want to make sure that our learners are remembering everything that is important when it comes to cybersecurity, making sure that we're keeping everything not only up to date with our best practices, but also making sure that we are supporting the best practices when it comes to our cybersecurity policies, but also giving the opportunity for participants and clients to make sure that they have the chance to learn a little bit more about cybersecurity as well, because it is such an important and demanding job field. Now, with that, we've seen lots of different things, but we ultimately decided to turn our ideas to gamification.
Absolutely. When we were looking at different initiatives and tools that we could use to enhance the learning and development at Goodwill, we definitely looked at gamification. What is gamification? It is the integration of game elements and principles into non-game contexts, and it helps boosts engagement and motivation, especially in learning and development, right? Some of the key principles include rewards, include challenges, competition, feedback, which I know that my team specifically loves and enjoys a little bit of competition. But they are all designed to encourage participation, right? And create this sense of achievement. Now, the benefits are multiple, right? They're substantial. They lead to improved knowledge, participation. They increase the learner engagement. And they're just a more enjoyable overall experience. Now, when talking about gamification and cybersecurity training, it allowed us to offer real life scenarios, simulating the navigation that a learner would take when presented with a threat, for example, right? We can look at successful examples from other fields, right, that they use gamification. I know that the first thing that comes to my mind are the health and wellness apps and how you get very motivated by that reward when you achieve and get that 1 mile accomplishment. I think that it just boosts your motivation to continue going, even if it's just a batch that you're taking that you're getting because of your effort. So having said that, we're going to move on to a gamification experience for you all.
So we're going to put a link into the chat, and yes, there is a small prize for our winner at the end. So please make sure you use a real email so we can read out to you when you log in with it. And we're going to test and see how much you all know about gamification that there is. Please do not worry. There are no wrong answers, but there are less right answers. In addition to that, I want to make sure that you all know that while the more correct answers are going to give you points, the faster you respond, the higher up in the leaderboard you are. So what we are going to do is take a moment to place this link in the chat for you all to take an opportunity to make sure you have a chance to participate. And we'll make sure that we get that out for you all. I'm getting that up and loaded for you all. Here we are.
Here we go.
You're also welcome to scan the QR code as well if you would like to do it on your phone instead of your computer. I've got 9 of us already in. Fantastic. Wonderful. Some big competition ready to go. I'm going to give you all about 15 more seconds. And it will be a little self-paced once I click start on this game. So you guys will be able to see how you go all the way through it. Oh, I apologize. Let me send the link one more time. Here we are. Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Fantastic. All right, we've got a large competition here today, Valeria. So I'll get us started in about 10 seconds for those of you getting logged in from a little bit of a link delay here. All right, let's go ahead and get us started in our 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll go ahead and get us started here today. Wonderful. We've got quite a number of people already logged in and doing some responses to see how they are doing with everything, which is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic work. And, you know, for people who are joining in to learn more about gamification, you all seem to be doing a really fantastic job in some of our responses. So this is great. Thank you all so much. Wonderful work. And it is all self-paced as we go through, which is fantastic. And I'm seeing that we're already getting some completions in, which is really fantastic as well. And I'm going to take a moment and let's see here. It looks like we've got just about everyone has already put in all of their responses. So I'll take a moment to end our session. But Valeria, some things that I'm looking at just briefly from some of the responses is we've got some gaming experts on the call today, which is wonderful. I'm so excited to hear about all of that. And I will also say and take a moment that it looks like Kayla Bingen, it looks like you might be our winner today. So we are very excited and congratulations to Kayla. Thank you so much for participating, everyone with us today. You all have done a fantastic job getting us started. Out to you, Kayla. But that gives you a taste of some of the gamification that we like to do just here and there. But Valeria, I'll turn over to you to give us a background of our training landscape of what it was.
Thank you. Yes, Tiffany, and congratulations, Kayla. So talking about Goodwill's initial training landscape, I'll touch a little bit on what our previous cybersecurity modules used to work like. So in our cybersecurity training for new hires at Goodwill, we used to hold virtual one-on-one sessions as part of the onboarding process. These sessions were led by our cybersecurity architect, which included a PowerPoint presentation followed by some question and answers using real life scenarios. And while the content was great. It was strong. It is actually the same content that we use to design this cybersecurity modules using gamification. The delivery method was a little bit ineffective for retention and engagement, and it heavily depended on the availability and bandwidth of our cybersecurity architect, right? Which is that it depended on a single employee and it made it challenging to achieve. So this is where we turn into a new way of delivering this training. And I will let Tiffany go give the overview of that.
Absolutely. So we knew that there needed to be a change. We saw that the retention of some of our cybersecurity materials and things like that needed to have a better increase. And so what we had decided was to design this gamified training program. We had taken the modules that Valeria had mentioned a moment ago and tried to find a way that we could gamify them and make sure that we were increasing that engagement for everyone. So as we would like to take a moment and show you some of our different training opportunities and different games that we like to participate with. So I'm going to show you the training arcade that we use through ELB. That way you can see a quick preview. And then we'll dive into what we did with our implementation process as well.
Hi, and welcome to the Training Arcade, an industry-first DIY rapid game authoring tool that allows companies to create fun and effective training games in minutes. With 11 different game types that can be deployed in 20 languages, you can build as many games as you'd like using your own training content with our super user-friendly, no coding required admin portal. Simply create your game and publish it as a web link or add it to your learning platform as a SCORM or API package. The Training Arcade works seamlessly across mobile, tablet, PC, and touchscreen devices and can be used for e-learning, online meetings, instructor-led training, virtual training sessions, and live events. It also supports SSO integration for easy user login. The Training Arcade's robust analytics dashboard is designed to unveil patterns of individual and group engagement with any training material, thereby improving training ROI by revealing knowledge gaps, personality behaviors, and group comparisons. The Training Arcade is a great way for companies of all sizes to infuse game-based learning into their training and engage learners on a much deeper level. In fact, in a sample study of 2,500 games built by the Training Arcade subscribers, players saw a 58% improvement in knowledge between the first attempt and third attempt at play. And now you can add all the games you build to Arcades, our premium gamification platform. Arcades includes all the gamification elements you need to motivate and engage your learners with head-to-head challenges, leaderboards, learning journeys, achievements, tangible prizes, and robust analytics. Schedule a demo and start your free trial today at thetrainingarcade.com. Hi, and welcome to the
So within our implementation, we decided that we needed to test out some of these theories. We've heard wonderful things about gamification, but one of the things that we realized is we wanted to see how it could impact our Goodwill network. So what we did is we decided to split all of our internal GII into 3 different groups and test to see how things were going with them. What we did is we took that cybersecurity learning module, the very, I would say, more traditional of our e-learning with its assessment, and placed that within our LMS as part of our first group. Our second group, we provided an e-learning with a game and an assessment within our LMS. And then within our group 3, we actually use that arcade that you saw featured at the end of that video there with the e-learning game and assessment as well. So each of these 3 groups, everyone was able to see a few different items and able to experience, while all experiencing the cybersecurity piece, they were able to see their own achievement depending on where they landed within the different groups. Now, with that, we had some really wonderful, impactful results. We saw huge satisfaction ratings from both our groups 2 and 3 when it came to the games, but I will say those that were in the arcade were thrilled and loved how interactive and being able to get some of that feedback as well. We also saw an increase in retention of some of the different vocabulary words and just best practices when it comes to cybersecurity, such as those phishing emails and what we need to do with all of those things as well. So we got lots of positive feedback. Some of the differences that you might be interested in or maybe starting to think about is wondering about those competition levels, maybe for those of you who are extroverts versus your introverts. And some of the things that we noticed more anecdotally is that we noticed our folks who do not enjoy the competition as much really enjoyed being able to do the game piece because it still increased their retention and it increased their understanding. But for those, especially on Valeria and I's team, who are very competitive, we had a huge praise when it came to seeing the arcade and being able to see the leaderboard and knowing, well, if I played one more time, maybe I get a few more points to be at the top of the board. So not only was someone just completing the cybersecurity module to say that they've checked it off, they're done, and may not remember it, we had people coming back to take it over and over again to make sure that they were beating out their colleagues or maybe getting higher points and so on. And the game was engaging enough that they were able to recall the information that they needed. Now with that, some of the impact that we saw with gamification, we saw a large increase with platform engagement. So we actually did our cybersecurity training with this pilot in the beginning of the year. And I say that to give you a reference that normally for us at GIA, we like to do a lot of our compliance trainings in the fall. And so we'll normally see a dip of engagement when it comes to some of our e-learning and things like that in the springtime. However, it rocketed straight up. We saw a huge platform engagement, users logging in, coming back to these modules over and over again, whether it be through the LMS or through the training arcade. We also saw that there was this very large sense of how rewarding it was to have that continuous sense of learning. People were excited to come back to learn more about cybersecurity. And these are folks that maybe not to be your technical people per se. These are folks that are not into cybersecurity day in and day out. These are folks from maybe our marketing team, from our mission team, from anywhere and everywhere, and they are thrilled to be learning more about it. In addition, as you have seen, hopefully from our beginning video of today's session as well, this truly aligns with our mission and how it supports personal growth and empowers our individuals through engaging and accessible learning. We are excited to not only have it with an internal place of GII, but also being able to bring this to the network and beyond. Our goal is to be able to increase that gamification so that all learners are able to access and also able to see and reap the benefits. Now with that, I'll turn it over for Valeria for any of our closing comments.
Thank you, Tiffany. As you have seen throughout our session today, the impact that gamification had in Goodwill was very large. It was very exciting. It was very energizing for our audience of learners to participate in such a fun pilot. The training arcade has really given us the opportunity to reach our learners in a more in-depth way. And we are also able to track a lot more of the data that we really wanted. So is this being retained? Are we getting to what we want with our goals and objectives for our learning resources? So through it all, it has been a wonderful experience to start navigating the training arcade tool. And we are excited to continue looking at resources such as Scenario VR, like you saw on the video that we showed Jordan use, right? How amazing it is that we are being more accessible with our learning resources and creating opportunities for our learners to experience and gain some professional skills using technology tools. Now we are opening the floor for any questions, any comments, remarks, suggestions, anything that you have, whether it is about Goodwill and our mission or about any of our training that we've talked about today, about our gamification.
We have some.
All right.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
ahead,
Tiffany.
Zach. Nope, go ahead.
I was just going to point you towards the Q&A, but it sounds like you were headed there anyway.
No, you are all right. I do see our first question there is, how do I become a Goodwill team member? That's a great question.
We'd love to have you. You can go to your nearest career center at Goodwill and become a Goodwill team member anytime.
I love it. I love it. And it does seem, Zach, I see that you might have been typing an answer as well, but I see another question here that says, what was the difference between the game versus game and arcade? That is a great question.
Great question.
So within the platform itself, you saw a small snippet of it within the video. There was the game that we were able to embed directly into part of our learning path within the LMS. However, the arcade is almost its own separate platform to an extent where you're able to see different badges and leaderboards. It's more interactive, I would say, with your colleagues, which is why maybe your extroverts in your group would probably enjoy that training arcade and being able to compete against their known peers, where within the game itself, within the LMS, they're more competing with themselves, enjoying being able to gain up those points and things like that. And hopefully that answers that question. Valeria, would you like to take
Yes, I have a question here that says, did you have pushback from leaders who didn't see it as serious enough? How did you get buy-in? That is a wonderful question. We didn't have pushback, but I will say that Goodwill is data-driven. So any initiative that is undertaken by Goodwill and our leaders has to be backed up with data. Hence the pilot that we started with cybersecurity. So when we brought this initiative to our leadership, they supported it. However, we undertook it as a pilot to have that data to really support the initiative that we were trying to push out to the network. Once we had that data to support our findings from gamification, we were able to push it throughout leadership in the network. But we definitely had to start with a pilot before completely going into gamification and other learning resources.
And I do see a question that says, for your 3 groups of learners, did they all eventually experience the gamified experience? Yes. While they may not originally had not experienced our pilot in the way that, everyone may have seen the game or the arcade, everyone at this point in GII has seen our gamified experiences. It is actually something that is looked forward to on a regular basis within some of our department meetings, and even within some of our trainings as well. We've had a huge increase of people wanting to make sure that they are gamifying some of the elements to increase that retention with their trainings as well. And I want to make sure, I'm trying to make sure I get everyone here. Zach, please help keep me honest as I'm looking through and trying to keep track with everyone. I know that there's also questions coming up in the chat as well.
I have a question here, Tiffany, that says, did you find it easy to get started using this tool for gamification? I'll answer for both of us. I think it was very practical and very intuitive. We had a wonderful time just exploring all of the different games, and we still do, because we try to incorporate gamification into other meetings, not just trainings, right? So for professional development, as well as any team meetings that we have, we like to put in a little bit of the gamification resources that we have access to through the training arcade. And we've found that it is very easy to use.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we're really excited to be able to help others be able to use it as well. And certainly Zach and all the teams over at ELB are able to help you all with this too. I did see another question here. I think it's in the chat, Valeria, that says, did we happen to find less cybersecurity incidents after the launch of this game, or if it's still in the pilot phase? Do you want to talk a little bit about some of that background? Because I feel like that's such a great question.
I will say that I definitely think there was more awareness of the cybersecurity threats that are constantly being pushed to Goodwill and any other organization, right? But I think there was more awareness, and we definitely had a decline on the number of threats that were being accessed from our teams, right? So we used to have a lot of phishing emails, a lot of threats that were being opened accidentally by our team members. And we really saw a decline on that after going through those real life scenarios and accessing this training, they were more aware. And I love to see where team members are sending their questions to the help desk saying, I really believe this is a phishing email per our training, right? So we've definitely seen an improvement on cybersecurity best practices.
Tiffany and Valeria, I've got 3 questions that I'm going to combine.
Okay.
One of them is Goodwill employs many neurodivergent learners. Does your gamification take that into account? Another related question is there any feedback from users with accessibility considerations? And then perhaps maybe slightly lighter weight than that, one of the issues with VR is the effects that it has, like nausea, etc., especially with lengthy use. I would love to hear about your experience with those effects and how you dealt with it, if your trainees are experiencing any, etc.
Those are all great questions. We might be able to team this one out, Valeria, a little
Yes.
back and forth. So to answer some of the accessibility and neurodivergent pieces, yes, we do serve a very diverse group of people. And, you know, for a little bit of my background, I actually come from public education prior to coming to Goodwill. And so I'm used to being able to work in that differentiation, working with lots of different people as well. And it has been an absolute blast being able to see how we can take gamification, especially with the arcade, and create those custom learning paths for users in a way that is going to really help them learn. Yes, Jennifer, I see you. Yes, here we are, right? So we absolutely love being able to serve with different pieces, and being able to make it accessible as well is something that is very crucial to us. We're always making sure you know, that we're following lots of different standards when it comes to making sure that is accessible to everyone as well. And some of the games, I will say, we'll have to look at making sure we're serving the right people. So we might pick one game over another, determining what is going to best fit certain situations. Valeria, do you want to add on to that?
I agree, Tiffany. I think that just to piggyback of that, we are definitely very open to looking at different options when incorporating gamification. So let's remember that gamification is all about incorporating game elements to training. So depending on the audience that we're serving and dependent on our learner, we can definitely select and choose the games that we offer and create multiple different trainings and gamified trainings to best serve our learners. Now, having said that, I know that there are some symptoms when using, for example, the headset for scenario VR. That is precisely what we like, to have a different pool of trainings. The Training Arcade has a really nice suite of different resources that we can select and pick when using and pushing gamification through to the network. So I think that we have a robust library of options to offer to the network. And in the cases where a learner might get dizzy or have some symptoms coming from that headset, we can always go through another way of training, whether that is through another source of another game, right? Without using the headset. So I think that we are continuing to explore different trainings, different resources, different gamified experiences, and we're continuing to learn how to best serve all of our members in our community.
And I will add one more little note here as well, and Zach can probably speak a little bit more to it. But with the scenario VR that is through ELB, you're actually able to do that on the computer as well. So if the headset is a problem, you can access it on, you know, a laptop or a tablet, and being able to kind of look through the scene that you are in that way, which is always really fascinating as well, and might help eliminate maybe a little bit of that nausea too.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Tiffany. That's exactly right. If headsets are an issue, computer, phone, tablet, all that's accessible. So thank you. Got a question from Phil, and actually I'm going to combine 2 of Phil's questions. Do you have anything to engage learners in practical application of learning over rote memory activities? What are the metrics on time per question for those who hit the third question compared to their first? 1 to 2 seconds per question. And then actually, I'm going to loop in a third one from Phil. Do you have any data where you rephrased the question from one game into a new game to see how well the learner has transferred?
Those are fantastic questions. I will say that we currently there is a way to make sure that we can track those different questions within our training arcade within the back end. There's lots of great reporting. Hopefully you were able to see a little snippet of that within the video. So we are able to track those different questions and able to see how people are responding to those different ones. I don't have specific data numbers in front of me. I apologize for that at this time. However, we have been able to see a fantastic increase of users being able to answer the questions better, just anecdotally speaking, of how they have been able to see, for example, like a phishing response of an email, they're able to answer it maybe a little bit better in the second or third game than they were maybe on the first game. So we have definitely seen an increase in impact with that.
I see another question here from Linda that says, did you run into any technical challenges creating learning for various roles? For example, frontline users that may not have access to a laptop or a phone? That is a wonderful question, Linda. And it goes back to the mission of Goodwill, which is facilitating those resources. So for every Goodwill that we have in our communities, we have a career center in which you can find the resources that you need to access training. So most of them have computer rooms, others have tablets, and we have Goodwills that give their employees cell phones to use for personal and professional use, including training, right? This is one of the areas that Goodwill is specifically focused on, which is allowing and expanding the access to technology that our participants have. So most of our Goodwills will have, if not, if not giving out cell phones to every participant they have, they will at least have a room of computers that they can use. Are any of the gamified elements that Goodwill implemented AI enabled? I will let Tiffany talk about this one because she's all AI.
I love all AI things. So the training arcade does have some AI features where it can help you populate some questions and things like that within the system. Outside of that, there's no AI enablement, but I'm sure with how ELB loves to be on the upfront and running with things, they're probably looking for more things with that at this time too.
Absolutely. And there's a little bruise on my tongue from where I've been biting it.
Yes.
Yes. More to come. More to come on that topic for sure.
More to come. More to come. I know they're always looking more for that. And then I did see, I believe it's Matthew, in terms of integration within a larger training solution, have you integrated the gaming portion into a single course, or have you primarily used it as a standalone solution threaded to the overall training curriculum in via the LMS? It's been a combination of a little bit of everything. I feel like we use it all over the place. We've used it within different training modules, whether that be e-learning. We've also done it in person within conferences. We've done it through some of our virtual town halls and even department meetings. It's been great to even help retain some information from one department meeting to another, trying to remember what we were working on as a huge team and all these different pieces and what we're trying to focus on, but also helping with the smaller pieces, with, and I say small, I shouldn't, but within, like our cybersecurity training modules or any of our project management training modules and things like that too. We're able to really see it kind of across the board with different ways. All right.
You all have cleared out the question queue.
Yes. Trying our best.
Thank you. Wonderful. They were all great questions. We really enjoyed answering all of those. And I just want to thank you again for being here in our session. I always like to thank in my presentations and sessions, we like to thank you for contributing to the Goodwill mission. I know a lot of the listeners here have visited a Goodwill store, donated to a Goodwill, so you are already part of the work that we do. So thank you for that.
Thank you all so much. And feel free to reach out and ask more questions as well. We're always open to help and to connect with any of you as you are furthering your L&D journey. I put a link in the chat, or you can scan the QR code on the screen to reach some of our contact information as well. But thank you all so much for joining today. And again, thank you so much for contributing to the Goodwill mission as well.
Thank you, Tiffany and Valeria, and thank you, Goodwill in general, for both what you do and for just helping people improve their lives.